Frank alluded to something that I wanted to draw your attention to, is the field day bulletin that's in your packets. And I'd like all of you to turn to page 2, if you would. There's a dedication in there. And that dedication is to our good friend, colleague, longtime supporter of the Ag Experiment Station, as well as the Research and Extension Center. And as everybody's turning to that, what I'd like you to do is please join me in a moment of silence to recognize our dear friend Ron Pooley, who has recently passed away. Thank you. This is fantastic. I look out in the crowd and I see a lot of faces that are from here, and then a lot of faces that are not necessarily from this valley. And as Dean Galey had already mentioned, the Department of Ag Board is here. Doug, thank you, and thank you for your team for joining us today and staying around. There's another group that's here that I need to introduce as well. I look out, and it's very, very, very rare that you see one of your fellow experiment station individuals in the crowd. Jeff Steiner from Colorado Experiment Station is here. And then there's other members here, and I'm not going to probably able to see everybody, but what I'd like to do is, in addition to recognizing Jeff, Andy Wolf, I think you're okay. And stand up, Andy. And anybody else that is here representing the Regional Bean Consortium, could you please raise your hand? Thank you very much for being here. Many of the people that you just saw raise their hand came all the way from Idaho. Jerry and Jeff came up from Colorado, and this whole this is an example of what we can do, and very much an example of what is possible when people that have common interests come together. And this program today, I hopefully will be an attempt to show you that what we can do together when we collectively work together is much greater than what we can do if we're doing things individually. So thank you very much for the consortium for coming all the way up to Powell and joining us for today. Thought we had a great productive meeting, and the sky's going to be the limit on this one. So we really appreciate your efforts. Okay, and along those lines, I wanted to mention that the bill that sponsored the creation of the Dry Bean Commission in the state of Wyoming was the Interim Joint Ag Committee, and we certainly appreciate their help, and we're looking forward to working with the Department of Ag and members of the commission as we move forward. So it's wonderful to have great partners. I've mentioned 2, there's several others that are in the room. UW Extension, of course, is well represented, and one in particular is Jeremiah Vardaman, who's in the front here. He's with Park County Extension. He's stationed right here, and part of his role is to help with integrating what we do here on the R&E Center with Extension's activities and serve as a two-way conduit. So thanks, Jeremiah, for being here. The other recognition that I think I need to give is for all of the advisors for the Powell R&E Center. Kelly was pointed out, but we have an outstanding representation of our advisors here today, so would you please raise your hand and be recognized as well? Thank you, all of you. Okay, I want to just spend a quick moment talking about the Field Days Bulletin that all of you have. You'll notice it's divided into several sections, and at the very beginning is an introduction, and that introduction lays out kind of what the purpose of the field days are, and already, as the Dean had mentioned, the production ag research priorities and how they're linked and those production priorities are at the end of the bulletin as an appendix. So when you read some of those articles, you'll notice that there's reference to PARP and then a number. That PARP represents Production Ag Research Priorities in the index, and then the number is the specific priority that is being addressed. This is just one partial step in beginning to move forward in identifying research areas that we're working on that you've identified as producers, and then this will also help us fill gaps on where we need to go in the future to address some of the critical needs you have. Along those lines, I had to look back. It's a good thing I did, because I almost forgot the other section that's critically important. In there also, I talk about who hosts these field days. Of course, the staff make them happen, and then you get talking heads like myself and the next person that I'm about to introduce that get credit. But I wanted to make sure that you're aware. If you look around the room, you will notice some of the individuals that work here, either on this station or at other units. And I just want to say thank you all for being here and for everything that you've done.